Welcome back to PowerShell Garage. Today we're resuming where we left off, which is installing the push rods, rockers, and setting the preload. Enjoy.
All right, we're gonna try to check our lifter preload now. Totally the right way. But I saw a guy online do it, so it's probably the right way. So what I'm gonna do is put these two rockers in, get an intake and an exhaust rocker. And we're gonna try to get them to their 0 lash point, which just means that they're touching but not preventing a rotation. And of course I cannot get my fingers in there to feel that push rod. See if it's turning or not. So we can go off of here. So let me back this up and you can see here we have a latch. This is movable. We're gonna tighten this down to the engine or till the rocker is at 0 lash, which means it's still loose, but it does not move on its own. Now there's the lifter getting pushed down into the cam. So there's 0 lash for this one. Too far. There's about 0 lash for this one. We also need to make sure that we're on the base circle of the camshaft for the intake. Or this is the, this is the intake one. I can tell that it's not, because it looks like it's higher than the exhaust one. So I don't believe that we're currently on the base circle. So I'm gonna rotate the engine until we are. Which I'll wait till the exhaust starts to open. There we go. Now I can tell that we're on the base circle of the intake because the exhaust is starting to open. See how much we were off there. Just being silly. So like I said, we're going to take this down to 0 lash to where it's just sitting here, not playing up and down, just still. Now that we're at 0 lash, we need to take this bolt down to its torque spec while we're measuring this movement to the top, and then it'll show us our lifter preload. I'm sure there's a more elegant way to say that, but that's how I know how to say it. We're going to try to get our dial indicator to be perpendicular with the push rod. It's down a little bit more. This is kind of a cheaper one, so I have to play with it a little bit.
And if you're getting motion sick, I don't have a stand for the camera.
Sorry, fellers, you're seafaring today with the camera. That's all right. All right, we'll get this perpendicular with the direction that the push rod's going to go. And we'll get our high quality, not totally jumping around dial zeroed out here. Close to 0. And then the goal is to not touch it, see? So that it stays at 0. All right, so now this needs to be torqued down to its spec. And we'll measure the travel so we can determine the lifter preload. And hopefully we have the right push rods. I'm gonna double check on this spec. I need to probably bring this back a little bit, but I can't. Bear with me while I get this readjusted. We'll be back in action here.
The goal being to make the gauge itself not be hovering over the bolt, so you can tighten without hitting it.
That did change our angle slightly, but we will live. Again, I'm gonna make sure that this is back at 0 lash, because right now we have a little bit of lash that we've picked up. So it should just be ever so slightly loose, but you can see the dial indicator's not jumping around when I pull up on this, other than when I actually push it down. So again, that is our 0 lash point. That's 22 foot-pounds, and we traveled, it looks like about
72?
Well, we started at 0.
Or 0, yeah.
So we only went about 28 thousandths, which is not enough travel. We need to have about 5 to 25, or 5 to 50 to 25 thousandths on the dial here, indicating 50 thou to 75 thou of travel. So it looks like our push rods might be slightly short for this application. We're not getting enough preload. I will double check this measurement just to make sure, but we'll find out. Either that or the lifter is like collapsed. I can feel it coming back up. It's slow. It's all gummy. Yeah, I can go on just push this lifter with my fingers now. I guess there's no oil in it at all. Yeah, now we're only getting 10 thousandths of travel on this one. Oh, is he not sure? Give it a try on this exhaust one also and just see if we get different results. See what we get over here. Well, that's exactly what we're looking to see. We're right inside the spec of travel, between 50 and 75 thousandths. Of course, going backwards because we went to the left, counterclockwise. So this puts us at 70 thousandths of travel, which I think is the ideal preload for the LS7 lifters. I'll go ahead and check a couple other ones. Since this one's messing with me, I think it's just because these lifters aren't oiled up yet. We have not primed the engine. But we'll do some trial and error and come back. I suppose we could get it back out again and do one more. But we did two, and one should be enough. Because the intake and the exhaust are the same. There's setups out there where they're not.
Did you do one on the other side?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did
I
one on
did the
each
second
side.
one here, the first one there.
Yeah. You should be fine then.
The newer LS engines that have the rectangle ports, the intake valve is like off center as a result of the. Oh, I was gonna put oil on this. I forgot.
I mean, you're gonna prime it anyway, though, right? So.
Yeah, I was just gonna put oil on these. The top of the springs. Anyway, the valves are offset, so all the intake rockers are different than the exhaust rockers. They have like a hook to them to move them over to this, like over to the side, kind of. Makes them a little bit weird. There's something about like a tightening sequence for this. Well, I guess that you would have gone over that like with the like how you did a small block.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Where you have to like get it on top of the center and then you can set like these particular ones at this time and
That was like 15 years ago for me. I don't remember.
look it up on your phone. Oh wait.
That's just the assembly lube.
Yeah. Just to give it a little bit of something to. Like I said, we'll try to get oil up here, but even when it starts, it'll still be. It's always dry up here. No reason to deprive it. What do I keep doing with that wrench? The old pocket trick. And then the old ones, I did also squirt them with oil so that the trans were wet. I'll just go around and hit them all 22, and then we can roll it over and do it again, maybe? I don't know. Now I should be able to do some sort of tightening.
With the engine in the #1 firing position, tighten the following valve rocker arm retaining bolts. Tighten the exhaust valve rocker arm retaining bolts on 1, 2, 7, and 8 to 22 foot-pounds. 1, 2, 7, and 8.
For exhaust.
Exhaust.
Okay, exhaust 1, 2, 7, 8.
Okay, and then tighten the intake valve rocker arm retaining bolts for 1, 3, 4, and 5.
1, 3, 5's open. No, it's not. Never mind. Rocker was just up. And 4 intake.
Yep.
Should be intakes on the left. Okay.
Rotate crankshaft 360 degrees. Go right back to where it's at.
Okay.
Okay. And tighten the following rocker arm retaining bolts. Exhaust 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Three, 6, 4. Or no, it was
That was 5.
3, 5.
Yeah. Yeah,
4.
4 and 6 on that side.
3, 5, 4, 6
That's what the way we did it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6.
for exhaust.
Yep.
And
And
there should
then
be
intake would be 2, 6, 7, 8.
2, 6. And I'll hit 8. And it's intake on 7.
Yep.
Okay,
That's it.
should be all of them. All right, that looks good. Next thing on my list is this oil pressure sensor. This is the factory LQ4 oil pressure sensor. It has a crush washer built into it, that I'm hoping is reusable. It's not crushed very far. So I don't know if they just didn't have it torqued all the way before, or if that's just how they look even when they're crushed. I don't know, I'm used to the Subaru ones. Hopefully that is sufficient the way that it is. And we of course, we went out and got the correct tool to install this. The special socket that goes on these oil pressure ascending units. They look like this. You can get them at the parts store. It's called a crescent socket, if you ever heard of such a thing. So you put your cam sensors in the way because you're an idiot and put that in too soon. So go ahead and loosen that cam sensor out. Put down the crescent wrench. No, I don't want to. It's my favorite size. It always fits. As long as you like stuff stripped out. You definitely want your 6-point fasteners to be as rounded as possible. That's how you know they're tight. It's when it really rounds off. And you can't even get it in here. It's just really awkward. The only thing I can say in my defense is that we're going to pressurize the oil now, and hopefully we can detect a leak before it goes in the vehicle, because that's going to be really fun to fix later.
Because that's the one that mimics a rear main, right?
No, that's the cam sensor that I'm touching right now. This one, well, I guess it could, but you should be able to see it from the top if you were able to see the back of the engine. So you could see that this would be leaking and getting on the back. It would be on the top of the bell housing. The one that's really tricky is this cam sensor has an O-ring underneath it, and it's actually inside the bell housing right here. And when it leaks onto the rear cover and looks just like a rear main from the outside. Of course, once you get in, you can see that it's on top of the rear cover, and oh, okay, it's probably the cam sensor, but at that point, you've already pulled the transmission. You're in a great mood because of that. Completely the end of the world, etc., etc.